Hello everyone, I'm Santiago, and today I'm gonna be testing the Dead Rising franchise on the Steam Deck. So we're doing Dead Rising 2 of the record, Dead Rising 2, Dead Rising 1, Dead Rising 4, and Dead Rising 3, which oddly enough says it's not compatible, but it actually works. The other ones are playable. Well, this one is playable, the other ones are verified, so let's get into them. So first of all, we got Dead Rising 1, and this one is a very old game at this point, so Xbox 360 era, came to PC way longer time after, which I was very happy about. So this one, just max it out, use 4 times MSA 8, you can use 8 times if you don't care about battery life, but basically highest settings 4 times MSA 8. And the game is completely fine, it doesn't use a lot of battery at all. As you can see, the GPU and CPU are barely breaking a sweat. So that's perfect. And this is basically the best one in the franchise, at least in my opinion. So yeah, and you see when I attack enemies with a blunt weapon that I get like a stutter. That's how the game is made. It's actually like to convey a big hit. It's a visual decision from them. So yeah. That's why that happens. It's not a performance thing. It's an artistic decision. The good thing is that the loading screens are super quick. I played this once in a friend's 360 and man, it took forever to load new areas. So yeah. Whoops, wrong button. So yeah, if you are interested in this game, I highly recommend it. If it looks interesting to you, well, it does. There's lots of enemies on screen. And I mean, it was insane at the time it came out. In my opinion, it still is, considering the age of the game. So yeah, let's jump into handheld so you see how it looks on the smaller screen. Welcome back, so now we're in handheld mode. Same performance as before, but now you can see it in the smaller screen. And I never thought in my life, when I first played this game, that I would be able to play it portable. It's kind of insane. I remember my first experience with Dead Rising was the Wii port. Believe it or not, there was a Wii version, but it was basically Resident Evil 4 with a Dead Rising skin. I mean, it was pretty good, but nothing like this game. This is completely different. So yeah. So if you're into this sort of thing, you cannot go wrong with this one. And it's usually heavily discounted, so no reason not to play it. Even if you played it on the 360 before. Because here it runs at 6 FPS and it looks fantastically good. Especially considering, well, it's a higher resolution. And at the same time, the loading screens are basically instant. So, yeah, pretty awesome. Anyway. Let's get into the next one, because otherwise I'll stay here forever playing Dead Rising 1. Again, I think it's the best one in the franchise. So let's jump into Dead Rising 2. Now we're checking out Dead Rising 2, and this one, again, highest settings, old game, 360 era, even more zombies on screen. And we're on the highest settings with 4 times MSA 8. You can go 8 times, but it uses a bit more battery, so up to you. The game still looks great. And it runs at 6 FPS, so yeah. I did like this game. I think I played it more than the original Dead Rising. But what always bothers me is that the main character moves very slowly until you upgrade him. So I always felt as at a disadvantage. And I started the game over because, well, there's more zombies right away, instead of slowly walking to a place with many enemies. We skip the cutscene here. But yeah, this game is a lot of fun. As long as you don't mind the slow movement of the character for a big portion of the game. Come on. Please move. Thank you. And in my opinion, it still looks pretty good. I don't know how Capcom did this in the 360 era. I mean, look at the amount of enemies on screen. That's kind of crazy. So yeah, we skip cutscenes now, because probably we're getting to the safe spot, the safe room. Yeah. The loading screen was a little bit too long, so probably. Anyway, while this loads, let's go into handheld so you guys can see what it looks like on the smaller screen, which I think is the biggest takeaway you can get from this. So one sec. Alright guys, welcome back. So now we are playing in handheld. I'm sorry I can barely see because there's a camera in front of the Steam Deck. And again, performance is the same. Battery life appears to be like 4 hours, which is awesome. And again, it blows my mind to be playing this on such a small screen. I played this on my GTS 450 a while back. That's when I had a good enough PC to run this. Oh, sorry, a 9500 GT. Then I played on a GTS 450 and it was way smoother. But again, you probably do not notice, but you move very slowly at the start. But that's a good upgrade you do to the character later on. But I think this is the most faithful one made by the studio that made the other Dead Rising games in comparison to the original. So that's always a good thing. Oh yeah, I don't have a lot of space. That's okay. Whee! So yeah, if you ever played this game or haven't finished it, I think it's a good place to play it. And again, just like I said from the previous game, the Dead Rising games are usually on Steam sales, so it shouldn't be hard to get them at a discounted price. And they have pretty good PC ports actually. They have the 360 button layout, so connecting a controller shows up in the PC settings. So it should work right away, be very easy to hit 60s. Now that I'm in a place with lots of zombies, it's actually like 3 hours of battery, still great. I think you can get it further if you disable the MSAA, but the game will look very aliased. So yeah. Anyway, I think it's time for Dead Rising 2 off the record. We're playing Dead Rising 2 off the record. I show you handheld mode right away because this one is Dead Rising 2 glorified DLC. So same settings as Dead Rising 2. And instead of Chuck, we got Frank West. And it's more of an arcadey experience. You also have timed missions and all that. But it's Dead Rising 2 with new content and another character, basically. Which is not a bad thing, but still. I don't think there's much to show you here. It basically runs the same. So there's not much to say about it. Whoops. There we go. Let's see the loading screens. 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Okay, 11 seconds. Not bad. On my hard drive, the first time I played this on my PC, it took forever. Whoops. See, these are the arcadey things that you can participate in. What the hell? Frick you, man. I have a hammer. At least he tried. Come on. I was expecting to kill zombies, but that's fine. I'll take his money. Wow, that's a lot of money. Jesus. Well, maybe in this game it's not that much. And again, this is one of the parts that has the most zombies. One of the most open areas of this game. And again, in this game you move very slowly still. Frank moves a little bit faster by default, but still. So yeah. Not much else to say. It's basically Dead Rising 2 DLC. Which is not a bad thing. I still enjoyed it quite a bit. So yeah, let's get into Dead Rising 3, the next gen game. Now we're playing Dead Rising 3, and this one is one of the worst PC ports at the time it came out, so locked to 30 FPS. To unlock it to 60, link in the description on how to do that. 800p, basically 720p, everything like this. Anything below anything below high shadows looks horrible. So I recommend you keep it like this and lock it to 50 or 40. Because again, terrible PC port. But here we go. I'll show you more enemies in a second. I forgot how to play this game. I completely forgot how to play this. Alright, so there's a good amount of enemies. So maybe 40 or 45. You can lower shadows, but again, they look like a blocky mess on high. Sorry, below high. So I would say a 40 FPS cap is the way to go on this one. Just for the sake of consistency. There we go. I remembered how to run. But the amount of enemies on this one is pretty impressive. I think this was the last good one. It was clearly nothing like Dead Rising 1 or 2, but it was a fun game. Gotta say that. This is one of the first games I covered on my channel actually. Good memories. But I mean, the amount of enemies is just absolutely ridiculous. So it's a game that has its issues, but I enjoyed it quite a bit. It's weird to, again, like I said on the previous games, it's weird to play this on a handheld. I remember barely hitting 30s when it came out. So again, my advice would be target 40s and have fun. So let's do that. Let's go into handheld and lock it to 40 FPS. One sec. Now we're looking at handheld mode, and here again go into the Steam Deck's menu, 40 Hz. The game has forced VSync despite having an option in the menu, and the settings are basically the same. So for it to be more consistent, we lock it to 40. And as you can probably notice, the game is locked to a 16:9 aspect ratio, which means horizontal lines on the top and bottom of the screen, the black bars. But still, it feels way more consistent than targeting 30. That it means drops below 50 very often. So this should avoid most of it. And it feels way smoother than 30, which I always say when playing on the Steam Deck, but it's true. I mean, if you ever tried 40s and then play at 30, 30 feels unplayable, so I think this is a great middle ground. Especially in a game like this that has so many enemies. And, well, being a famously bad PC port. By the way, remember, this game, even nowadays, if you launch it, it's locked at 30 FPS. You need to add a config file in the games folder, again, link in the description, if you want to try it. But it's a very fun game, if you're interested. It's not the same as the other Dead Rising games, and unfortunately paved the way for Dead Rising 4 not being good, at least in my opinion. But this one, I really like it. Oof. Especially me that I'm not super good at the original Dead Rising. Let me see if I can find another car. Oh man. I mean, some cars you can drive them, but some others are just junk. But again, it works fantastically well at 40 FPS. So that's my advice for this one. Anyway, I think it's time to go for the last one, Dead Rising 4. As you can see on my face, I'm not a big fan of that one at all, and it killed the franchise, so let's check out Dead Rising 4. See you in a bit. And finally, Dead Rising 4, the game that killed the franchise. So this will be on native resolution, and I have bad news. No matter the settings, I wasn't able to get 40 FPS, nowhere close to that. So I'm basically using high settings with some stuff on very high. Let's keep everything on high actually, just for consistency's sake. And I lowered volumetric lighting a bit for performance reasons. And that's basically it. High settings, native resolution. And we're not getting anywhere close to 40. It's basically 30s no matter what. We are CPU bound. The GPU is not being fully utilized.
I'm not sure this is a good idea.
Well, apart from the performance, the game itself is not good, at least in my opinion. I was having fun when it started. It was awesome to see Frank back in the game. But after that, it just felt uninspired.
Taking the scenic group. Fine, just meet me at the hotel.
So yeah, it's kind of a shame. I still cannot get over it that this game killed the franchise. Hopefully Capcom decides to remake it with a Japanese team instead. So it gets back to the wackiness of the original. But this one is not good in my opinion. It works, don't get me wrong, but 40 FPS is not possible. Feels more like a Christmas type of game, at least to me. The aesthetic just says Christmas to me, because it takes place in Christmas, but still.
Unbelievable. This place is crawling.
It's not great. I mean, there's not that many zombies on screen right now, and look at the performance.
Doesn't make sense.
And if I lower the settings, it'll just be lower GPU usage, so we're CPU bottlenecked. So let's just say I'm not impressed at all. So let's jump into handheld. Back in handheld mode now. And well, performance is the same. On the smaller screen, it's fine. I mean, even on a monitor, it looked okay. The edges are fine. We're on native resolution. It's using TAA, which is a huge improvement over the previous games that were using FXAA or SMAA. So that's the best thing about it. I wish that Rising 3 had proper TAA and good performance. But it was one of the worst PC ports at the time. So yeah, this has no business running this bad. Let's just leave it at that. But if you're a fan of this or you're interested, it's there, it works. And I hope Capcom decides to remake Dead Rising on the RE engine or something. That would be interesting. It will be a nice highlight of this franchise, so we can forget about this. Also, I think the studio behind this game, from the 2nd to the 4th, is actually gone, completely gone. So yeah, probably somebody else will take care of the franchise if they ever make another game. But again, I want a remake of Dead Rising 1. That would be awesome. Although I don't know how they will put so many zombies on screen. But the RE Engine did something similar with their new game. I forgot the name. It's so forgettable. The one that you're controlling some robots. I'll remember the name in a moment, probably. But yeah, on that game they do hordes of dinosaurs. Anyway, thank you guys so much for watching. Dead Rising on the Steam Deck is amazing. Dead Rising 1, 2, off the record, and 3. The 4th, just don't even look at it. Let's pretend it didn't happen. It can be a fun game, but I don't think it's worth your time. But that's just my opinion, of course. You can do whatever you want. So yeah, thank you for watching. Play Dead Rising 1, please. And even 2 and 3 are good. And I'll see you guys next time. Bye guys. Thanks for watching.